Each individual tower that you'll find in EToH always comes with some sort of history. Often in many of these cases, a tower's past can go very deep, and whether it primarily bases around its building process, the creators themselves, or the controversies it causes, its history will still have a huge impact upon someone, like its builders or its victims. So we're gonna go through a few towers with some of the darkest past EToH has ever had. Beware, as these cases have some of the most disgusting, malicious, and irredeemable factors that truly make them stand out from one another. So grab your popcorn, or don't actually for the sake of your appetite, and enjoy the video. Like and subscribe. These videos take time to make, but if not, I fully understand. Thank you. And also one more note, this video going forward will cover a few individuals for notorious actions that they've done in the past, but do not harass anyone mentioned in this video. But let's continue. If you're a newer player in the EToH scene, then there's a chance that you aren't aware of these two towers. Tower of Inner and Outer Scaling is an old tower formerly located in Ring 6. Tower of Insult to Injury is a rather old tower formerly located in Ring 8. Both share one similar feat in common. It's not to do with both towers being old, but has to do with both towers being once in-game but now removed. But why? In early February, both towers were removed only a few days apart from one another. The reasons as to why? Both towers were made by the same person. This is Punky Joe, or Punky Joe as most people know him as. So I'll refer to him as Punky Joe or simply as Punky. Before we get into why the towers were eventually removed, let's actually delve into Punky Joe and his EToH career himself. When Punky started playing EToH, or what was back then known as KToH at the time in 2018, he would play towers and make commentary guides about them, and his KToH videos would get views, which quickly made him one of, if not the biggest active KToH YouTuber at the time. Punky would grow to be one of the most popular and recognized figures in the KToH/JToH scene. On top of that, he would later on go to pick a few towers, two of them being the two tower topics of this section of the video. Both towers would end up released in their respective areas and be highly praised, as for the time, his towers were some of the best towers in the entire game. Punky's reputation was at peak stardom now. Everyone in the community knew him. Well, soon enough, everyone would still know him in the community, but for a very different reason. On the 10th of February 2023, Punky's famous Tower of Insult to Injury would be removed from the game, and a few days after that, his other famous Tower of Inner and Outer Scaling would be removed as well. So, why did this happen? As it turns out, Punky was exposed for pedophilia, as chat messages between him and a victim were leaked to the public, going back as far as a few years ago. That's right, hidden in plain sight, among some of the most popular community figures was a pedophile/groomer. So overnight, the news of what Punky did was everywhere in the community. Punky was quick to then delete his channel. Everything that Punky had worked up and built over the past 5 years came crumbling down extremely rapidly. Even today, many know him as one of the game's most notorious community members for what he did. Also, this is just a random fact, but Punky was introduced into the game at the time from a video made by a prominent Roblox figure at the time, being Koneko Kitten. You might even recognize that name as well, as ironically, Koneko Kitten himself also just so happened to be exposed as a pedophile as well. The irony of the situation, man. Later, Punky would make an apology and address the community for the actions that he has caused. I'm not gonna go over it, but the reactions to his apology were very mixed, especially given how the apology was a year and a half late of the exposal that eventually kicked Punky out of the community. To say the least, this situation was very shocking to the JToH scene, especially as both towers were probably more prominent than many think. Both towers had a huge impact on the community, as they gave us memes and even in-game achievements such as the Inner and Outer Scaling secret ending. If you're more curious into the situation, there are archived videos explaining the situation more thoroughly than I did, so feel free to check them out. Thanks for making it this far into the video, but I also wanted to take a quick moment to ask for you all to like and subscribe, as I'm only about 200 subscribers away from getting to 2,000 subscribers. And also, liking helps too, since it's a good metric. Nothing else to say, I guess? I'll just get back to the video. But let's move on to another tower. And trust me, this next one is also really bad. If you were around the EToH scene during late 2024, then there's a very good chance that you were aware of this tower. To be quite frank, I'm sure a lot of you clicked on this video expecting it to be here. So, here it is. Tower of Ooey Gooey was a tower made by N43. You probably know it's off the bat that the name of this tower is questionable. To the dirtiest minded people watching this video, good job. The tower's name represents exactly what you think, and you better believe that I'm not kidding. So, what goes on in this tower, you may be asking? Brace yourselves. The tower for the first few floors is actually perfectly fine. The tower's just like your any-day modern tower that you'll find across even the modern in-game towers. If anything, the only weird caveat found on the 2 floors are the sound effects with the B-blocks. What? It's also worth noting not all towers in this video were necessarily in the game. This is included, and you'll find out why. The start of floor 3 is actually pretty normal as well. You're just traversing through the gameplay, and eventually you'll even go outside where you'll find yourself face to face with the house. Here's where crap really hits the fan. You first met with a sign at the front door that says, "People are food, not friends." Okay, that's a strange introduction, I guess, but when you enter the house, holy fucking shit, can I even show this on video? Then you'll find some lying dad on his bed talking about how he's been raping something else, which is why we have a video. Okay, I should stop now. So after he questionably threatens you with a quest, you go back outside and you'll realize quickly the outside is surrounded by fun little balloon decorations. Gosh, making this video was a huge mistake, bro. Oh my god. Let's just continue to floor 4. Yeah, I think I'll just refrain from continuing to talk about this godforsaken tower, but understand that the rest of the tower is designed the way you just witnessed, aka very conspicuous fetishes that make up essentially the rest of the tower. Let's talk about how this tower somehow came to be. As I mentioned before, this tower was made by N43, but don't mistake him as your ordinary tower builder, since the same builder is responsible for infamous in-game towers, such as the Citadel of Quadrilaterals in Zone 4. It's safe to say that N43 was clearly a talented builder, which is why Tower of Ooey Gooey is such a special case. As weird as it is to say, anyone could create a tower with gameplay and design choices as Tower of Ooey Gooey had. Yeah, it's weird to say this though, but the tower's quality is actually good. The tower is no longer up on Roblox, so no one can play it anymore, but if you were to actually watch a playthrough of the tower, such as what you see in this video, you'll notice that the tower's quality is actually really good and fit for today's modern standards, in spite of it being 2 years old. This is what made Tower of Ooey Gooey— I gotta stop saying this name, bro. I'll just say EToH going forward. This is what made EToH stand out. Of course, on top of the really inappropriate aspects this tower is filled to the brim with, it was created by a well-respected EToH builder at the time-ish. So what the hell happened? Honestly, I tried looking as far and wide as I could, but I couldn't find anything as to why the creator chose to make this tower in the first place. I don't want to throw fingers as to why the tower was made in the first place, nor would I willingly want to, because damn, this tower's questionable. To those watching the video, if you're aware of the backstory of this tower, feel free to correct me in the comments. Let's just move on. Instead of focusing on just one tower, we're going to cover a multitude of mini towers originating from the stronghold due to the situation surrounding it. These towers include Balls Tower, Mini Tower Great Nostalgia, Double Tower 2, Evidently Not a Tower, and Nil's Ultimate Fate. Oh yeah, also like a million temporary towers. Who cares about that? What the hell's Tower thinning layers doing here, bro? I'm sure you're already aware of the 28.5 situation, but essentially the purpose of the towers and evidently the stronghold subrealm itself was to become a flat-out joke to cope in the midst of the Jukala situation. It's been almost 2 years already since the situation with Jukala, so why don't we take a moment to go back in time and recap the situation that would eventually bring Juke down from her owner position, as after all, it's why the stronghold existed, and also why the game would later be rebranded into the EToH that we all know today. On the 4th of November 2024, we would see 9 EToH staff members step down from their positions as a direct response from arguments between her vision, as in Juke, and the staff that happened privately. Among the members that stepped down included the prominent co-owner of EToH at the time, Gameter. And 5 days later, a 102-page document is released to the public directly calling out Juke for very poor management of EToH over the past few years. After that though, the situation would cool down a bit with no major event regarding this situation in December 2024. However, there was now clearly tension between Juke and the staff team, which would later on to prove itself later as we forward to January of 2025. As on the 14th, Juke would release her own 50-page document responding to the call out made against her by the staff team in November. So how was the response to Juke's response to the staff team's response to the game's mismanagement? Well, nothing short of abysmal. I'm not going to go over as to why Juke's documentary in response to the staff teams was poor, as quite frankly there's a lot of reading and I do not want to research more than I already have, so. But her response was bad enough to only add fuel to the fire that had already been brewing for months at this point, bringing the situation back into the limelight and causing a huge ruckus. But the final nail in the coffin, sometime a few days later, it came out that Juke in fact admitted to embezzling 28.5 million Robux from the game's staff, which was roughly 70% of the game's total revenue. That was essentially it. Of course, infamous events happened afterwards that you know. There's other videos covering the situation, and as a matter of fact, I'll put some examples on screen right now for you all to go ahead and watch. But damn, 28.5 million Robux when exchanged through Roblox and DevX is equivalent to over 100,000 American dollars. See my message here? Obviously, the stronghold really didn't play any part into the situation, But the fact that the subrealm and its towers were created through a controversy that led to the reveal that Juke stole that much from her developers, talk about embezzlement. But yeah, let me know your guys' opinion on that situation. But so I commented you to some pretty disgusting stuff, which I'm not sorry for because you clicked on this video looking for that, and also because I'm scripting this late at night and I just want to get this video over with. When I wrote this, in conclusion, the history of towers in EToH goes deep for all the wrong reasons. And those 3 cases you just watched are prime examples of this. So that's it. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace out, everyone.